Welcome to Electrified. It's your host, Dylan Loomis. So 2 quick things. It's going to be a quick episode today. I'm not feeling great. My coaches and I implemented the next phase of a protocol to eradicate this parasite I have, and let's just say my body is not reacting well right now. It may be part of the process to figure this out, so please just extend me some grace for today and I won't be on video. And 2, I just wanted to take a second to genuinely thank anyone who has ever interacted with a sponsor on the channel. It really is a great way to support Electrified, and I know that these annoy some of you, but I do say no to 95% plus of the offers I get, and I really do my best to share a bit more about me and my family in them to keep them engaging. They really do help to make this a sustainable time investment for me, so to everyone who has ever even clicked the links or tried a product or service, thank you. And I do hope some of you have found new products and services you will use for a long time. First up today, we got a Form 5. You may recall a few months ago we talked about that donation that Elon made. Well, apparently they reported that without adjusting the shares for the split. So the TLDR is Elon actually donated about 12.5 million shares, and at today's prices, that's about $2.1 billion. We also got a Form 4 from Elon Musk, but no worries, it was not a sale. He just exercised some options from a 2013 incentive plan, totaling 10,500 shares for an average price of about $4 per share. Must be nice. This option award was granted as part of Tesla's company-wide patent incentive program. Thus, updating these figures, Elon now owns around 411 million shares of Tesla, which is currently worth about $72.5 billion. Given the current Tesla market cap, Elon owns about 13% of Tesla, but do not forget, as of the end of 2022, Elon also has the option to purchase 303.9 million shares of common stock as well, which would take his ownership of the company back up to around 20% if you account for those options. Remember last week how we talked about Elon is planning a city in Texas? Well, unfortunately for now, he said that that article is false. If you saw that episode though, you would know that was a pretty detailed article. It wasn't just a blurb of one random person saying one random thing. It was pretty in depth. So I would just say this is a very general term and could mean many different things. It could mean part of the article is false. It could mean the fact that Elon isn't planning the city, someone else is planning the city. You get the picture. Here we got an image from the kilowatts of the new Ultra Red Model X here on the left, and we get a good side-by-side comparison with the older Tesla Red, but this on a Model Y on the right. So again, this new darker Ultra Red is only available on the Model S and X. This color will not be coming to the Model Y or the Model 3, at least not yet. We got an update from Matthew Donegan on his thread that he put out Friday. Apparently, when it comes to the Cybertruck frunk, an employee told a friend of his that he got something wrong in that original thread. The good news is that the Cybertruck frunk will open just like the F-150 Lightning, where the light bar section does also lift up. So as Chonsu has pointed out with the Cybertruck last week, we said only this pink portion was going to open. Apparently that's not correct. So this entire pink portion right here that does include the light bar will all flip up, which yes, will make it much easier to load things into the frunk, not having to lift them up and over this front section. So that's definitely a welcome update from Matthew. One of the bigger news items for the weekend, the Tesla Powerwall is now available for a standalone purchase. It's been over 2 years since this was an option for customers to buy the Powerwall by itself without having to add solar with it. When it comes to the pricing, just keep in mind this does not include taxes and this does not include installation. You will pay those separately. Obviously, one Powerwall alone is $9,200. Doing the math for 2 Powerwalls, it works out to $8,600 each, and for 3 Powerwalls, it works out to $8,400 each. So going from 1 Powerwall to 2, that's about a 6.6% discount. You may also notice though, if you toggle this, are you expanding a Powerwall system to yes, the cost for each will drop by $1,000. And do not forget the federal investment tax credit for 2023 and beyond, potentially for the next 10 years or so. You can get a 30% tax credit for a standalone Powerwall. So applying that federal tax credit to 1 Powerwall would effectively make the new price $6,440 after that incentive. 2 Powerwalls would be $12,040, and 3 Powerwalls would actually be $17,640. This was a very good short video done by Marcus going over having a standalone Powerwall, going through some math and payback periods. He does talk about energy arbitrage, which is one of the main reasons to own a Powerwall without solar. You can charge it up using your grid in most areas and then actually deploy that energy during the day when energy is more expensive. Of course, your specific payback period will vary depending on your off-peak and on-peak rates, but you can't forget about Powerwalls replacing something like a loud, noisy generator that many people use. If the grid goes down, these Powerwalls will have your house up and running, or at least a portion of it, even when the grid is out. This full video will be linked below. Before we move on, I would remind everybody that Tesla did mention they may have a Powerwall 3 product being unveiled later this year, but this is also a good indication that, of course, production of the Powerwall is ready to go and the battery supply is in place, so those are definitely good things. As always with Tesla product releases, maybe this next-gen Powerwall doesn't come until next year or later, but it was on this one slide right here. A renewable energy company, GenX in Australia, just took delivery of 40 Tesla Megapacks for a new Bess system. This 100 megawatt hour project of 2-hour duration Tesla Megapacks will be near Rockhampton in Queensland, and they're expecting this to be up and running fully by the end of this year. For this project, GenX has what it calls a unique arrangement with Tesla that effectively guarantees minimum revenue and a share in higher profits. Tesla will operate this battery using its AutoBidder software. And GenX, who as far as I know is a fully renewable company, has revealed its first ever net profit last month. Tesla released its vehicle safety report for Q4 of last year. This is the number of million miles driven before an accident occurs. So of course you want this number and these blue bars to be higher, which just means more miles driven before an accident. Relative to Q3, where Tesla's using autopilot drove over 6 million miles before each accident, the data for Q4 did regress a little bit, where the average million miles driven before an accident fell south of 5 million. But pretty clearly this data is going to fluctuate quarter to quarter to some degree. You really need to zoom out and scroll down to see the progress over time. And this data can be interpreted in many different ways, and most of it can be somewhat controversial, so I will just say for now that in Q4, by comparison, the most recent data from NHTSA shows that in the US, there was an automobile crash about every 652,000 miles. Whereas with Tesla's using autopilot, it was a crash every 4.8 million miles, and even Tesla's not using autopilot, there was one crash every about 1.5 million miles. You may recall at Tesla's Investor Day, we learned about Tesla's accident rate for miles driven in FSD. Tesla vehicles using FSD beta were driving 3.2 million miles per every one collision, where again, the US average is about every 500,000 miles. Tasha Keeney from Mark Invest did a good thread on this, but the TLDR, Tesla's first report on its FSD safety rate suggested using FSD is 5 times safer than not using it. This full thread will be linked below. From Drive Tesla Canada, a Model S owner in Florida has taken Tesla to court over failures from the Model S door handles. This apparently stemming from a problem that after warranty cost him a few $100s to fix. Tesla has said it's well settled a resident of a single state cannot represent a putative or an alleged nationwide class asserting consumer protection and warranty claims, because each class member's claims will be subject to the laws of their home state. I'm not a lawyer, so we'll see how this plays out. I will pop this video from Superfast Matt below if you're interested in learning more about the door handles and the evolution of such for Tesla. This was an excellent video on the topic. Fritz Vanins on Twitter apparently shared this new image of a V4 supercharger. You may recall the video last week though, the actual specs on these stalls made it look more like a V3 supercharger, just possibly with a longer cable, but even from this image, the cable doesn't look that much longer, although we could definitely be deceived here. So it's tough to make out too much from this image, but definitely wanted to pass it along. This is the inside of an Electrify America station for comparison. GM is sticking with its strategy of potentially trying everything and seeing what sticks. They're now exploring using ChatGPT in their vehicles to potentially access info on how to use vehicle features normally found in an owner's manual for things like accessing garage door codes or integrating schedules from calendars. A GM spokesperson said this would not just be about an evolution of voice commands, but the cars would be far more capable and fresh overall when it comes to emerging tech. At the same time, GM is saying that this year, Cruise is going to be focused on cutting costs. So reducing the number of component parts isn't always the hardest part, it's doing that while maintaining performance. Cruise was responsible for about a $2 billion burn last year, but they did not give any details on specifics when it comes to spending cuts this year. They did say their vehicle origin was in the final stages of certification and it's ready for full-scale production. They're calling it a big unlock for the company this year. VW has chosen Canada to build its first battery cell plant outside of Europe, which will of course grant it access to incentives from both the Canadian government and the United States in terms of the Inflation Reduction Act. VW's announcement today did not specify the size of the investment, but they're saying they're targeting 20 gigawatt hours of capacity. This comes with news last week that VW's Scout brand is building a $2 billion plant in South Carolina for trucks and SUVs that should start production in 2026. Porsche just confirmed for the first time there will be an electric version of the Cayenne. It will share the same PPE platform as the upcoming Macan EV, and they will continue to offer the Cayenne with an internal combustion engine. Rivian is now in talks with Amazon to potentially end the exclusivity part of the electric van deal. A spokesperson from Amazon said, "Nothing has changed with our agreement with Rivian. We've always wanted others to benefit from their technology in the long run." It would be good to know which side of the partnership is actually looking to end the exclusivity part. I suppose it could be both, but that's information we haven't yet learned. Here we have an article from Autoblog, the Lexus RZ 450e, which yes is on the same platform as the BZ4X. They're now praising the yoke, saying it's no joke and it's the most compelling part of this vehicle. Whereas when Tesla releases it in a vehicle, it's the worst thing anybody could ever do. Now, yes, in all fairness, not all yokes are created the same, and Lexus does apparently have a steer-by-wire system that sounds like from this reviewer is pretty solid. The RZ 450e apparently has 220 miles of range with 18-inch wheels, and that drops down to 196 miles with the optional 20-inch wheels. And those range figures are provided by a 71 kilowatt-hour battery. This vehicle is set to cost around $60,000, and no, it is not qualified for the IRA, because it is to be built in Japan. So again, thank you all for bearing with me through today's episode. You can find me on Twitter at DylanLoomis22. Hope you guys have a wonderful day. Please like the video if you did, and a huge thank you to all of my Patreon supporters.